Hi sweet friends, welcome back to Mary's Nest. Today we're making Cioppino, a flavorful Italian fish stew that's quick and easy to prepare and perfect to serve for a family supper, but fancy enough for company. Today I'm participating in a collaboration that's being hosted by three lovely ladies. The first is Denise at This and That with Denise, the second is Tashi at Simply Tashi, and the third is Mickey at Live, Love, Laugh, and Pray. And the name of this collaboration is Soups and Stews Comfort Foods for Fall 2018. Now I'll put down in my description below links to these three ladies' channels, as well as I'll put links in the iCards above, and I'll put a link to the playlists on their sites where they will be hosting all of the people who participate in the collaboration. And also be sure to check the description below where I'll put a link to the recipe that I'm making. But first, what I wanted to say was if you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you enjoy learning about cooking from scratch, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel and be sure to click on the little notification bell below that'll let you know each time I upload a new video. Well, let's go over the ingredients. First, in my pot here, I've got 3 tablespoons of olive oil and 3 tablespoons of butter. And then the fish that I've got here is some shrimp, some scallops, and some halibut. Now, Cioppinis are the type of recipe that every family will kind of have their own version of it. It's something that was developed in San Francisco, actually, by Italian fishermen. And they basically would use whatever they had, whatever they liked. You'll often see it with clams as well as mussels. But my family's not too fond of that. So what I'm just going to do is shrimp, scallops, and halibut. The shrimp is local from, well, relatively local to Texas from the Gulf. I've got some scallops here. And then the halibut I actually buy online from Vital Choice. And this is not sponsored. I just like their seafood. And they sell halibut in small little pieces, so it's a lot less expensive. It's basically pieces bits and pieces, so to speak, that they have from trimming up, you know, beautiful fillets that they sell whole individually packaged like that. But then they sell the little pieces at a much reduced rate. And that's such a good buy for when you're making something like a fish stew. And if you order from them, I think, and I'll put the link to their website below. I think it's if you order over $99, they give free shipping, and they often have sales. And that's usually when I order from them. It can be anywhere from 10% off, 15% off, or even sometimes 20% off. So you can sign up for their emails and whatnot. But as I said, this isn't sponsored. I just really like the seafood that I get from them. And so that's the halibut. Alrighty, and the rest is some chopped onion. This is about 2 onions chopped. And again, this is a very flexible recipe. I don't want to say 1 cup or 1.5 cups. Whenever I read recipes I think that are like that, I often think, well, if 1 onion is just slightly under a cup, then I have to cut up another onion, then what am I going to do with the rest of that onion? So basically what I did here was just chop up 2 onions. They were medium sized. If you have a large one, then 1. If they're small, 3, you know, whatever. It's very flexible. And then here I've got 2 cups of tomatoes. You can use, you know, something that you may have home canned, or something that you buy in the can. I think the cans run about 15 ounces, so it'd be slightly under 2 cups, but again, very flexible. And it's just plain chopped tomatoes. And then I've got 2 teaspoons here. Again, a little estimation. I use a tube, so I just kind of squeeze it out. And I've got two teaspoons of tomato paste. And then I've got some fresh chopped parsley. It's just a bunch of parsley. I just remove the long hard stems on the bottom and then just chop the rest up. Even I don't destem it or anything like that. I just chop it all up. And then here I've got about 1/2 cup of white vermouth. You could use white wine, or you could just use water. It's just to deglaze the pan after we cook up the onions. And then in here and the garlic, this is what I've got here, 3 cloves of garlic that are just smashed in my mortar and pestle. And then here I've got 2 bay leaves. I've got a little bit of Italian red pepper. It's a little spicy. It's only about 1/8 of a teaspoon. You can leave it out. My husband likes a little spice, so I always add that in. And then I've got a teaspoon of salt, and then again, you'll taste it at the end, and may want to add extra salt to taste, but we'll start with a teaspoon of salt. And then I have about 1/2 teaspoon of cracked black pepper, and then this is about a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. If you don't have that, that's fine, don't worry about it. If you've got oregano, that works well too. I like this Italian seasoning blend, so I tend to throw that in. And then finally is the fish stock, and it's about 4 cups of fish stock. If you don't have fish stock, don't worry about it. What you can do is, if you're using shrimp, you can, with the shell on, and I recommend that you buy it with the shell on. After you clean it up, you can just take the shrimp shells, put them in some water, add, an onion, a carrot, a celery, like you were making some kind of broth. And then you can just make your own little sort of shrimp broth to fill in, for your fish broth. And that's easy to do. And boil them up, with the aromatics, throw in a bay leaf, some peppercorns, whatever you have, and put in, maybe about 6 cups of water if you're hoping, at the end to have about 4 cups of fish stock. And about 45 minutes later, you'll have a lovely flavorful broth. Now, if you're using shrimp with the shell on it, the first thing you'll want to do is just clean up the shrimp. And this is a relatively easy thing to do if you have this little tool. And you may find this in the kitchen section of your grocery store, or around where the fishmonger is in the grocery store. I found this particular one. This is my second one. I broke one, actually. They're plastic and they're pretty hard. I don't really remember how I broke it, but these are sold right at my fishmonger's counter. Now what I'm going to do is, you just take this tool. I'm going to show you this way first, and then I'll bring you in closer. You just take this tool and you run it down the back of the shrimp here. Now for this fish stew, I am going to leave the tails on the shrimp. I do like to have a little bit of flavor that some of the shrimp shell adds. And so you just go like that, and then you're just going to break it. And then you're going to peel it right off like that. Get every last bit, and just clean out the back there, and you're all set. It's very easy to do. Having that tool makes it so easy, and then you have your clean shrimp. Well, I just wanted to bring you in closer so you could see exactly how this tool works. So as I said, it's a hard plastic, and you just put it at the top of the shrimp here, and you just work it through up to where you want. If you want, you can go right through to the end and take the tail off. But as I said, I'm going to leave a little bit of that tail on, so I'm going to break it out through there. And then you just continue pushing it like that, and it's nice. It comes right off. It cracks it right open like that. And then I just pull the shell off, pull it from the bottom, get everything out. And then I just clean out the back a little, pull off whatever shell I don't want left, pull off that little bit, and then I'm all set with my nice clean shrimp. Now I'm going to go ahead and finish cleaning up all these shrimp. I'm going to save these shells for later and make a nice shrimp broth with them to use for a shrimp bisque. But for now, I'll go ahead and I'll clean all these up, and then we'll continue with the recipe. Well, I cleaned up all the shrimp, so that's all set, and I've turned my heat on over here. The butter is melted down, that's mixed with the olive oil, and now I'm going to get ready to add the ingredients, and I'll bring you in closer so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is put in my chopped onion, and I'm just going to swirl that all around in the butter and olive oil. And start getting that to where it's translucent. You don't need to brown it. We're just going to get it translucent. And once we get to that point, I'll add the garlic and cook it for another minute or two, and then we'll continue. Alrighty, well, I sauteed the onions for a few minutes, and now I'm going to add in the garlic. And they look wonderful. This is the garlic, 3 garlic cloves that I pulverized in the mortar and pestle. Alrighty, here we go. We're just going to saute this garlic up for another minute or two, and then we'll get ready to add the white vermouth. Alrighty, well, the onions and the garlic have sauteed for another few minutes, and now I'm going to add the white vermouth. I'll stir this around and let a bit of the alcohol cook off, and then we'll get ready to proceed with the other ingredients. Alrighty, I let all that simmer for a few minutes, and now I'm going to go ahead and add in the bay leaves and the various other spices that we had. We've got the red pepper flakes, the salt, the pepper, and the Italian seasoning. And it all goes. And I'll stir that around. And then we'll give that a second or two to get all incorporated, and then we'll get ready to add the rest of the ingredients. Okay, now I'm going to add the tomatoes, the chopped tomatoes, and the tomato paste. And I'm just going to stir that around to incorporate. Now I'm going to add in most of the parsley. I'm going to leave a little tiny bit behind that I'll use for garnish at the end, maybe just about a tablespoon or so. There we go, that's good. And I'm going to leave this little bit left for, as I said, the garnish. And now I'm just going to mix all of this in and incorporate the parsley. Got a lot on my hand. Okay, that's incorporated beautifully. And now I'm going to add the fish stock. And I'm just going to stir this around, and I'm going to bring this up to a boil. And then once it comes up to a boil, I'm going to turn it down to low, and I'm going to let it simmer for 10 minutes. Well, I had brought this up to a boil, then I turned it down to low, the lowest setting possible, put the lid on to let it simmer for about 10 or 15 minutes. Now I've turned the heat back up, and I'm going to start putting in the fish. I'm going to put the fish in first, because it'll just take a minute or two more than the shrimp and scallops will take. So I'm just going to get that fish in. It's halibut, and, you know, as I had mentioned earlier, it's a nice meaty fish. Oh, this fellow's getting away. I'm just going to put that in there, get that stirred around, and we'll just give that a minute or two, and then after that I'll add the shrimp and scallops. Well, I've got the halibut in there, and that's been in a minute or two, and now I'm going to put in the shrimp. Here we go. Beautiful. It's all nice and cleaned. Just get that in there. I actually had one fella, I gotta devein him or remove his shell. And now I'm gonna go put the scallops in. This is just gonna be delicious. You know, and as I said, if you like mussels and clams, you can certainly add those. Or if you want to leave out the shellfish completely, you can just use the halibut or other white fish. You could do it with a cod, anything like that. Alrighty, I'm just going to tuck those in there, and this just needs about maybe 3 minutes, and then it's soup time, stew time. Well, this simmered for about another 3 minutes just to make sure that the shrimp and the scallops cooked, and it just looks glorious. I'm just going to plate some up here. My husband has been incredibly patient, waiting to enjoy some of this. But get the scallops, and then let me get some of the halibut. Oh, it's just beautiful. Look at this. And the broth. I took a little taste of the broth just to make sure the seasoning was correct, and it was perfect. It really didn't need anything else. Let me just put another scoop in there. I'll let that cool a bit, and we'll take another taste. Well, I've got a piece of the halibut and a little bit of the broth on the spoon. When you get ready to serve this, you can take some of the fresh parsley and sprinkle it on top. It gives it a nice little color, but I'm just going to give this a little taste. We'll see how it is. That's delicious. That is really good. The broth is wonderful with the onions and the garlic, the parsley. The halibut is cooked perfectly. The shrimp looks like it's cooked perfectly. The scallops. I mean, it's just a feast. I think that you will really enjoy this. As you see, it's very easy to make. It comes together very quickly. And it's definitely fancy enough to serve to company. I want to thank Denise and Tashi and Mickey for hosting this collaboration. It was such a good idea to do something with soups and stews for the fall. Be sure to check the description below for links to all these lovely ladies' channels, as well as links to the playlist that'll have all of the videos that are part of this collaboration. And also check the description below for a link to this recipe, which I hope that you'll make. I'm confident you'll enjoy it. Well, I hope you liked this video and that you'll give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And be sure to subscribe to my channel if you like learning about how to cook from scratch. And don't forget to click on the little notification bell below. That'll let you know every time I upload a new video. Well, I want to thank you for joining me, and I want to thank Denise, Tashi, and Mickey, and I look forward to having you join me again right here in my Texas Hill Country kitchen. Love and God bless. Oh, before you go, be sure to check out these two videos. I think you'll enjoy them. And don't forget, subscribe to my channel, click on the little notification bell below, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.